I never believed one envelope could change a man's entire life. But the night Daniel Harper opened that letter, his hands shook so badly he almost dropped it on the kitchen floor. The lawyer's name printed on the top felt like a threat, not a promise. And when Daniel finally demanded answers, the truth didn't just come out, it exploded. What happened next will remind you that kindness has a way of traveling through time, waiting for the exact moment to return. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional stories that restore your faith in humanity, please subscribe to the channel, Kindness World, like this video, and leave a comment about what kindness means to you. Your support helps us share more stories that truly matter. Daniel Harper was a single dad living in a small rented apartment in Ohio. His life was simple, sometimes painfully so. Every morning, he packed his 8-year-old daughter Lily's lunch, tied her shoes, and walked her to the bus stop before heading to work at a local hardware store. Money was always tight. Bills stacked up faster than paychecks. But Lily never knew how heavy her father's worries were, because Daniel made sure she always saw his smile. One afternoon, Daniel came home to find an official-looking envelope wedged under the door. Inside was a letter from a law firm he'd never heard of. It said he was required to contact them immediately regarding a legal matter of inheritance. Daniel laughed at first. Inheritance? That was impossible. He had no rich relatives. No hidden family. No one. But something about the wording bothered him. It felt serious. Heavy. The kind of letter you couldn't just ignore. The next day, Daniel took time off work, time he couldn't afford, and walked into the lawyer's office downtown. The place smelled like polished wood and old money. When the lawyer finally called him in, Daniel didn't sit down politely. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Why did you send me this?" he demanded. "If this is some kind of mistake, say it now. I don't have time for games." The lawyer looked up slowly, studying Daniel's worn jacket and tired eyes. Then he said something that made the room go silent. "Mr. Harper, this is not a mistake. You were named in the will of Margaret Wilson." Daniel froze. "I don't know anyone by that name." The lawyer nodded. "We expected you to say that." 25 years earlier, when Daniel was just a broke college dropout, he'd been walking home in the rain after a double shift at a diner. At a bus stop, he saw an elderly woman collapse onto the bench, struggling to breathe. Everyone else walked past. Daniel didn't. He gave her his jacket, called an ambulance, and stayed with her until help arrived. He even missed his night shift and got fired for it. Before the paramedics took her away, the woman squeezed his hand and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." That woman was Margaret Wilson. She never forgot him. The lawyer explained that Margaret had tried to find Daniel for years but only succeeded recently. She had passed away 3 months ago, leaving behind a detailed will. And in it, she left Daniel her home, a trust fund, and a letter. Daniel's anger melted into confusion. His hands trembled as the lawyer slid the letter across the desk. Daniel opened it slowly. In the letter, Margaret wrote about that rainy night. She wrote about how lonely she had been, how invisible she felt to the world, and how one young man's kindness saved more than her life. It saved her faith in people. She wrote that she had no children of her own, and she chose to give her legacy to someone who showed compassion when no one was watching. Daniel broke down right there in the office. He cried the kind of cry that comes from years of buried exhaustion and quiet sacrifice. The inheritance didn't just change his bank account. It changed his future. With the money, Daniel paid off his debts. He bought a modest home near Lily's school. He cut his work hours so he could be there for every bedtime story, every school play, every scraped knee. But he didn't stop there. Remembering Margaret's words, Daniel used part of the trust to start a small community fund. It helped struggling parents with groceries, rent, and medical bills. No cameras. No publicity. Just help. Years later, Lily stood beside him at a community center opening funded by that same kindness. She asked her dad why he did all this. Daniel smiled and said, "Because one day, being kind saved us, before we even knew we needed saving." The lawyer never forgot Daniel either. He said in all his years of handling estates, he'd never seen kindness come back so powerfully, so unexpectedly. And that's the truth that exploded that day in the lawyer's office. Kindness is never wasted. It may disappear for years. It may feel invisible. But it always finds its way back, often when we need it most. So if you're struggling today, keep being kind. Hold the door. Make the call. Stay when it's easier to walk away. You never know whose life you're changing, or how it might change yours. Thank you for watching. May this story remind you that kindness can echo across a lifetime. And may you be that echo for someone else.